Hello everybody. I want to talk about the situation with Manchester United, the sale of the club, potential sale. But before you start talking about sale, you need to understand what the financial situation is. The thing with the Glazers, the thing is they bought the club when it was on the verge of bankruptcy. But what they did, I'm going to give a metaphorical explanation so you understand. So let's say Manchester United is a club, okay, or a house. So they didn't come and say, oh, we want to buy this house, here's the money. No, what they did is they took a loan on the house. They used the house itself as a deposit, and they put the loan on the house because Manchester United is a company, and a company is considered like a person basically that has its own liabilities. So they put, it's a very strange thing that they did, that they basically got the club for free, you could say, because the entire liability was put on Manchester United, the club itself. And the reason, how can you buy something that you don't own and put a loan on something that you don't own? But well, if you have good connections in the banking industry, basically. So what they did was basically they could show some paper that showed that they are really about to take over this club, that they have been approved and everything. And that paper meant that they could be treated as if they were owners already, and so they could basically do things that actually only owners can do, like take out a loan. So they did take a loan in the name, not in the name of the Glazer family, but in the name of Manchester United, the club, the company. So the debt is on the Manchester United, the club, and it's okay. But at least this is only something that is basically can be done. Maybe to avoid bankruptcy, you can get away with some stuff, you know. And that's the only thing they have managed to do, is basically keep it from bankruptcy. They increased the income by ads and everything, commercial deals and everything. But the thing is that the income, they didn't use it to pay off the debt, but instead they just saved the debt and took the profits to themselves. That's the big no-no that they made. So basically they got the club for free, basically, and the only way that they could finance Manchester United when they take over to avoid bankruptcy, they financed it they took out the loan, so to speak, in the name of Manchester United. So they didn't own it. It didn't cost them anything. They just put the name there. And that's also we are the, so they were like they put the name on it, but not in their name, but they like co-signed it. But it's the debt is on Manchester United, but they co-signed it. So but that means basically Manchester United is it's almost like still in a bankruptcy situation, because it still has a massive debt that keeps increasing. Because if you have a club that is near bankruptcy, you have a few options. You can just let it go bankrupt and recreate it, which might have been the right thing to do. But what they have only done is actually they haven't saved the company, actually, because what I really like, new owner that saves the company does, okay, they fix the finances of the company. They haven't fixed the finances of Manchester United, because they've actually screwed it up even more, because they haven't paid off the debt. They have put Manchester United even deeper in debt than what it was when he took it over, basically. or before they came in, the debt wasn't that big, but they just made the debt even bigger and don't do any payments, just take the profit out. So now I would say the club is basically, I wouldn't say it's a house of cards really, because it has its revenues and everything, but it's so much debt on it, that it's but what it needs is like a real, they're not actually like committed to it, because they're not actually fixing up the finances of the company. So they're really screwing up the finances. They're messing up the finances of the company, and that in itself shows you that no, they just came in, they just increased the value of it, took out profits and increased the value of it, and now they want to sell it. I mean, I don't know how many times, 100 times more than what they got it for free. So basically, it's maybe even 1,000 times more than what they got it for, because so this is really like trickery what they're doing. It's like really financial trickery, I would say, which this kind of things you're not even allowed normal situation, maybe like during reconstruction, to save a company from bankruptcy, which officially it was never in reconstruction anyway, but it was almost there, I think. This I would say this entire bidding situation, I'm not surprised there are no more bidders, because it's not the club is in deep debt, and I'm even though I would say the Thani, he has maybe the finances to actually fix up to save the club. I would say I wouldn't even advise him to do it. I would say is that your nation's company? Whose money is he spending? Is that your nation's money that he's spending? Where is it's irresponsible to not only put like 6 million, but then he also has to. They haven't even paid off the debt, so he's actually. If they did some kind of deal where, I don't know how much, so that the liability, the debt was counted off on the price or something like that. Maybe that's why Altan is saying 5.5, because maybe it's like half a billion in debt or something like that. So he maybe says, okay, it's already 6 if you include the debt. If you include the debt, it's even more. But yeah, so the thing is, the club in itself is financially, it's not sustainable. I'm not even sure if it can. Yeah, I think it can service its debt, but the revenues are enough to cover the costs of the debt, but it's not maybe enough to make the investments that are needed to go where the club wants to be, so to speak. But I'm sorry to say, you have to fix the finances first. You can't just take out profits and put the club in a worse situation financially. And in that case, I would say actually either you let the because that's one way how to get out of debt, is actually declare bankruptcy, then the debt is cleared, and they start off fresh with no debt. I mean, that would have been better if actually before the Glazers, if the company were bankrupt and then it was taken over by the fans to recreate a new Manchester United. Because right now it's still like it's not like safe. It's not like, I mean, maybe it has the biggest turnover. Maybe it's like but the total. If you count the total, it's like zero even. It's like plus minus zero basically. with the income and the cost, and that's not including, if you want to make big, player buying and stadium building and all this type of stuff. And you remember now you have you have like not only Saudi buyers in the Premier League, not only Saudi owners in the Premier League, or like rich owners in the Premier League, but you even have the Saudi League is actually kicking off and making offers right and left to various players. So that's gonna push up the prices of players even more. Manchester United is not financially equipped to handle that. So because it's already so much debt, and that even now, if they want to take out a loan, I'm not sure. It's hard for them to take a loan, to get a loan. So it's basically some owner that's gonna pour out from their own pocket, which no investor really wants to do. I mean, not like, at least not something that doesn't pay back, and this but this is when you come into things like, okay, but if it's a bank or something like that, it's a different ball game. Or if it's like a some nation's budget or something, then that's a different ball game, basically, which I'm not super familiar with how that works. There's a term for that, but I'm not going to use it here, but because I'm not sure if that's the case. But just so you know, people need to understand that actually the financial crisis of the company of Manchester United is still not over, since the Glazers did not fix it. They just put that on pause for the next owner, basically. That's the conclusion. So, and that's why they can't even actually build a stadium, because it was wrong to do it from the beginning, because they should have paid money to buy it. They didn't. They just the cost of buying of the Manchester United, the company, was put on Manchester United itself. Instead, usually you don't do that, because usually if you take out a loan, you do it for, let's say we're gonna build a new stadium. Okay, we take out a loan, but there is a return on that for the club. But in this case, the debt was only for the Glazers to take over the ownerships, and okay, they did some improvements, but the profits went to them. So this entire debt that was put on it, Manchester United, has no return on investment, and therefore Manchester United is not able to take on even more debt, because it's already in debt. Usually if you take on like a big debt like that, is to do something that's going to return. Otherwise you're still on the path of bankruptcy, which I would say Manchester United still is, unless they either declare bankruptcy, start over, or get like this Altani, who can do it, even though I would say it's pretty stupid for anyone, because just to take over the debt from the Glazers, let the Glazers keep it and let it go bankrupt, and let's start over, and they're trying to inflate the prices of the club with this waging war. So and you're stupid if you fall for it, I would say. If they actually, this Jim Ratcliffe, he should have pulled out when he saw there was a better bidder. The same thing as I don't know what his name was, that last time when the club was for sale, there was another guy who had a bid but pulled out because there was a better bidder in his view. But who knows, maybe there's some kind of collusion to inflate the prices. You never know. You have to watch out for that, because he seems to be getting, he seems to be a big buddy of the Glazers. He's basically, and that's also like a bit of a scam, because if you say if they say they're gonna sell the club, and then they get like this bidding war, and it's actually only one bidder who can buy the club. The other guy, he cannot buy it, so he's only basically buying some shares, which is not what this project, what this sale project was about. This if you say we're gonna sell the club, it's not like, oh, we're gonna sell a few shares to this guy and we're gonna make a, but actually that was what they wanted from the beginning. This is what they wanted to bring in some co-owners that can also help finance a bit more, push in some more money, maybe help them with the management of the club in the footballing sense. But that was not what the fans wanted. That's not what the fans demanded. The fans demanded the Glazers out, because everyone sees they're ruining the club, and there's only one bid right now. There's only actually one bidder, which is Al-Thani. There's only one bidder for buying the club. The other one is just like buying shares. So he's not buying the club. He can't he was outbidded, or his bid was rejected because it was too low. So he's out. Actually, so they're trying to, they're not trying to fix the Manchester United club. They're just trying to prolong, get more out of it, because prices keep on increasing. This bidding war maybe increased it, and even because what other external people, what they value the Manchester United company at was, I think I've heard 4 billion. That is a lot, because I would say maybe half that actually. Or of course there's the commercial value, but that's also very dependent on, like, the commercial value for a while was really low, like when they were going down and sacking managers and everything, losing players, every player coming to the club was failing. There was like a bad smell, and even I think when they didn't make the Champions League, there's something about some sponsors not, because they weren't even in the Europa League. I think the last season of Oli, I think, was 10th place. That means they lost a lot of sponsors, so the commercial value was terrible actually for a while. I mean, they lost it a lot now actually, but at the same time, this all this drama, of course, has brought attention to the club. So there's still, like, in a marketing sense, Manchester United still has a pull, but now it's like a negative pull, I would say, because people are following what's going on with Manchester United, not to like see all the success, but it's more like to see it's like almost like following the war in Ukraine. It's almost like that. It was like that the last years following Manchester United. It's like, what's terrible? What more terrible news are there today? It's like, you lost again. Basically, most of it was like that. So people even from other clubs were actually following Manchester United to see what's going on. Are they going to solve this issue and everything? So it's like a lot of drama, which also can pull people in, but it's not maybe so good for the football. Okay, speak again.